Hi, my name is Jacob Stevenson. This is my Comparing Intact to NCSS Standards presentation. My presentation I'm doing on is the Social Studies Standard. So when I'm looking at the Intact SPA Standard, the first common thing that I found between the two websites is individual development. It's really important that a teacher is aware of all current potential opportunities to develop knowledge and skills for all learners with exciting material based on state and local standards so they can grow as an individual student. The teacher needs to make sure that they're continuing to learn and use accurate materials when teaching their students. Teachers need to make sure that they're adapting and filling the needs of their students. The second part of the individual development scene is when I looked over at the social studies site. It's really important for students to continue to develop as well. Students need to understand how institutions and groups around them affect their daily life and how organizations change to their individual needs. And students need to be able to learn / grow at every level of their school experience. Another common theme that I found between the two sites that was important is credibility. It's really important for a teacher to understand his or her own personal biases so that they don't impact students' perceptions and opinions with others. When teaching, a teacher needs to deeply understand the material and teach in a straightforward way that shows no bias. The second part of credibility that I found is the standard for the NCSS, the social studies site, is the students need to learn civic ideas and historical context of government, laws, what a citizen's role in the community, since it's really important to learn those things. With politics, history, government law, it could be potentially easy for a teacher to show biases, maybe influence an opinion of students, so it's really important to be straightforward, honest, and just give the student material that they can form their own opinion. And the responsibility of the teacher is to teach subjects in as much historical context as possible, and it is important for a student to be challenged with as much critical information as possible. When I'm looking at the Intact Standard and professional collaboration, the teacher needs to work with others around them, including other coworkers and students, to make sure that there is a safe, positive environment. Also, the teacher needs to develop lessons to develop material that engages learners and help pushes them academically. The Intact Standard and Professional Collaboration Part 2, the teacher also needs to make sure how to help their students work together in a team setting in order to achieve their goals. The SPA Standard for Professional Collaboration, students need to learn how to understand other beliefs and ideas to work in a professional setting. It is also important for students to understand their roles and how it affects them, not only in their classroom, but in everything around them. And then the other part of the SPA standard is to make sure that it is important for students to understand their roles and how it affects not only their classroom, but everything around them. I already said that. Sorry, I'm a mess right now. The Intact Standard and Data-Driven Industrial Decision-Making Part 1. It's really important to make data-driven decisions and be able to use technology in your classroom setting. It's important for teachers to learn all the tools given them to maximize learning in different ways. So with it being 2022, there's lots of data out there, lots of information, there's lots of analytical lenses that you can use to teach your students. It's also important for a teacher to be able to connect whatever subject they need into a learning experience that the student is going to carry with them. And the teacher needs to make sure that they know how to use different interactive technology to be able to teach specific goals. The second part of the Intact Standard data-driven decision making is the teacher needs to understand how data and interactive technology can engage students in engage their growth in the classroom. And according to the School of Education Online Progress, data-driven decision-making in education can perform classrooms dramatically, improving teachers' responsiveness to students, saving teachers time, and ensuring instruction is relevant. So again, data-driven decision-making just gives you accurate information, current information, and can really help innovate new ways to teach your students. And when I look at the SPA standard, data-driven decision-making, it's important for a teacher to create projects that use all different types of learning materials and skills that use different types of learning techniques and skills that learn material A teacher also needs to be able to teach information that students will be able to use the tools available to them to maximize their learning. And then according to the expectations of the profession, how are teachers expected to resume the responsibilities of improving practice, advancing the profession? The teacher individually or in a group setting needs to be able to pick lessons that meet the students' learning goals, and the teacher needs to have different ways to effectively teach the material to their kids. And then the second part of that is some responsibilities teachers have are able to communicate effectively, and teachers need to be able to engage in professional communication, that their communication with students are free from bias. I already mentioned that earlier, but that's very important as a teacher. Also, since students learn in different ways, teachers need to be able to develop their skills so they can teach in different ways. And then a quote from I found from Purdue University about things that they look for when they try to teach their teachers in their teaching school is being committed to helping students with not only their classroom academic career, but committed to action, believe that all students can bring value to the classroom. That is important, but that's not the quote. I misspoke. Teachers also need, according to University of Purdue, to demonstrate a positive rapport with others, contribute to group efforts, and demonstrate respect for others and their ideas. And then part 3 is the best way for teachers to advance in the profession if there's evidence that they have created a positive environment where kids continue to meet their own personal goals with the goals of the teacher, school, and state. Then here's all my references. I'm sorry I misspoke a couple times and got sloppy. I've tried to record this 10 times and I've struggled with this, but yeah, that was my presentation.